my name is Aaron Chalner, aka the CHALL. Welcome to another episode, another weekly episode of the Matchday Launch Show, presented by YouTube. Now, obviously, we've got a lot to get through in this show, so let's share with you exactly what is coming up on this week's show. I'll be looking at the history of Doncaster's opponents this weekend, Sutton United. I'll be reviewing the Bradford City match with my player ratings and final thoughts. I'll be predicting Gameweek 2 in Sky Bet League 2 this weekend, and I'll be looking ahead to this weekend's home match with Mike from Sutton United Talk Time On podcast. This episode is as wonderful as a tackle by Liam Ravenhill. Sorry, Bradford fans, I had to get that one in there, to be honest. All that and much more is coming up on the series overall, but that is what's coming up on this week's episode of the Matchday Launch Show. Now, the first thing I have to do is obviously explain everything that's going on with the vlogs, because, as we all know, the EFL are really clamping down on the vlogs. A lot of people had their say on social media over the week. I decided to take mine down because, first of all, before I took it down, thank you for nearly 3,500 views. That's brilliant. Thank you. I'm not too sure if the money I earned from that vlog stays or is gone, but I don't know. But what I can tell you is it isn't just me. It's not just me. I decided to take mine down, but a lot of people didn't have that choice. A lot of people's vlogs got taken down. And so what's going to happen with the vlogs going forward? The vlogs during the season won't be happening. So what's going to happen is a bit like this, really, on this week's episode of the Matchday Launch Show. I'm going to be reviewing the Bradford game on this show at the beginning of every show. Now that the season's kicked in and we're into Gameweek 2 now, I'm going to review it on this week's show and then look ahead to the next game. That's how it's going to work from now on. The fan cams will stay. Away games, I'll be on the coach, interviewing the fans. If any fans do want a fan cam, don't be afraid to come up and see me. If you see me around the stadium, if you see me at the away games, just find me, come up to me, message me on social media if you want to meet up for a fan cam. I'll be honoured to do one. Obviously, when the coach from the away games comes back to the stadium, if there's people still want to be involved in the fan cams, you're still at the stadium, no matter how late we get back from the games, I'll still be there to chat to fans. So, obviously, we've got a home match this weekend, so if any of you want to be a part of a fan cam, I will try and find a spot for the fan cams. I want to try and connect with the club and try and find a permanent spot for the fan cams. I might use the James Coppinger Wall of Appreciation just outside one of the exits. So that's just like a little test spot maybe. But if you do see me around and you want to be in a fan cam, then just say if you see me around, and obviously message me if you do want to be on a fan cam as well. But yes, so that's just a little update about what's going on. So the vlogs this season will not be happening. We will just review the games on the Matchday Launch Show before we look ahead to the next game after that this weekend. So and the good thing about doing that is it allows a good few days to just settle down, let the social media, whirlwind die down from the end of that match, and give it a few days and just calm, speak, and look at it in detail. So I think that's the way we're going to do it going forward. But like I said, the fan cam's going to stay, and to be honest with you, it means I can actually enjoy the match without having to film things and stuff like that. So that's how it's going to work going forward. But speaking of the Bradford game, we do have some stats of this game which we're going to use as template notes to base the review off. We are going to do player ratings as well. But we're going to start off with my summarising thoughts on the match. So let's look at this first stat first of all. So Rovers had the lowest possession, 20.1%, and pass completion rate, 46.2%, in League 2 that weekend, including 16 accurate long balls from 69 attempted and 57 accurate short passes from 89 attempted. That was the one thing that I think we didn't do. The one thing that I think we need to stop doing. Stop going so route one. And I could get the occasion behind this one. Tommy Rowe injured late. Should be back hopefully for this weekend. Fingers crossed. But no, Tommy Rowe rolled out of that game late on the day. The early taking off of Ravenhill in the 6th minute, which we'll get onto. We'll get onto all the talking points. For me, it did feel like we were having to literally put men behind the ball for about 70 minutes of that match, if not more. Look, I see Bradford fans arguing about, oh, we were just time wasting, we were just, taking our time. That's just game management. If Bradford did that to us, we'd be complaining about that. It's just football. It's just football. Do I think it's the way we're going to play going forward? No, that is not the way we played in pre-season. If I see that when we don't need to do it, I'm going to flip, because that's not the way we played in pre-season. And then once again, it'll be another season of being lied to in terms of the style of football we play. I don't think it'll be the way we play going forward. I wouldn't worry as Rovers fans, because it is just one game. I think against a title contender, to take a point and a clean sheet out of that, I'd take that kind of football on that day, any day. If it was against a relegation contender and we scrape a 0-0, or we try and scrape a late equaliser or something with anti-football the entire game, then I would start to panic. But for me, the time wasting, it's just game management. Now, talking points. The tackle on Emmanuel Osadebe, first of all, and that's one of the big talking points. The other one is Lee Tomlin, but we'll get onto that stupidity in a moment. But first of all, the tackle. First of all, and I don't know, and I know some Rovers fans have said this. I will say it on air, and I'll say it off camera to every single Bradford fan that I meet. I'll say it to every 20,000 thousand of you, and whoever listened to it at home and whoever watched it from abroad. I will say to each and every Bradford fan, in person, face to face, if we ever go to Bradford again, best wishes, Emmanuel Osadebe. That should never happen. That kind of injury should never be happening. But it happens. It's football. Do I think the tackle was a bad one? I don't believe it is. I still don't believe it is. He got the ball. The follow through, yes. Yellow card all day. Did he have his studs up? No. He went for the ball. The studs weren't fully up. He got the man on the follow through. Yes, it was a yellow card. They didn't want to risk a second yellow with his strong challenges in a League Two match. Take off Ravenhill, bring on De Grucci, and change the way we play. The tackle itself, like I said, it wasn't fully studs up for me. He got the ball first, follow through on the man. The follow through was a yellow card, but he got the ball first. The way he fell and the way he followed through was the freak accident. A lot of people are saying it should have been a red. A lot of Bradford fans are obviously going to say it was a red. I think a couple, but to be fair, I think there's a few Bradford fans out there that didn't say it was a red. I could be wrong though, but I think I did hear a couple of Bradford fans say it wasn't a red on a space or somewhere. But for me, it was a yellow card. All day yellow card, nowhere near a red. There's some people that say it wasn't a yellow. I do believe it was a yellow because the follow through was still a bad tackle, but that's by the by. The Lee Tomlin's 2 yellows and a red. And this guy's a professional footballer. Now, I'm going to give Lee Tomlin the benefit of doubt on this one occasion. And the reason why is because Lee Tomlin will still be crucial going forward. I think if he does that and gets away with it, it's perfect. He's one of the best footballers we've seen, right? It's proper Premier League behaviour. And I'm no disrespect to the Premier League, but it is Premier League behaviour, diving all over the place. But I've watched it back, and I've watched it back, 6, 7, 8 times now. The first yellow, just tap the ball away, just kick the ball away. Gets the yellow card. Bradford player, I think it's Jamie Walker, runs behind him, doesn't even barely touch him, just gives him a little, like that, just coming up to him. And Lee Tomlin goes down holding his face, and then it feels like he, grabs his ankle or keeps holding his face or something. It's so weird how that was all staged, and it was so in front of the referee as well. You didn't need to do that. When we need 11 men to try and keep a clean sheet, never mind 10 men, you seriously need to look at yourself as a professional footballer. So the Lee Tomlin set 2 yellows for me was, just something I can't get over. But like I said, he'll be crucial going forward. So on this occasion, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. If he does it going forward, if he does it in the next few games, I may have to ask the club to terminate his contract, to be honest. Next stat, Rovers were joint second lowest for tackles made, 9, and 1 less aerial duels, 13, than any other side in the division on Saturday. Winning the ball from headers, that's something we seriously need to work on. I don't want to see this Route 1 long ball nonsense BS. But if we have to do it, like in the Bradford game, we had to put men behind the ball and try and pump it long and waste time, at least jump up and win a header. We barely won headers on that game. When we had to play long ball, we barely won any headers. Josh Andrews, fair play to him, he ran round on the pitch and tried, but he barely won any aerial duels. There were some aerial duels that we won, and you know, I'd give credit to the whole back four, by the way. Maxwell, Noyle, and the two centre-backs, Oluwu and Williams. Oluwu came close to a goal in that game. Oluwu and Williams were fantastic in the centre. They did win some headers. Yeah, for me, that's something we're going to work on, especially from set pieces, not even taking into play the tactics, the set pieces, corners, free kicks. And speaking of corners, that last corner when we need to pump it into the box, and look, there was risks behind that. If we pumped it into the box, Bradford could have counter-attacked and we could have been too slow to get back into our defensive shape. Because one of the best things about that game for us was how quick we tactically got back into our defensive shape and how quick we tracked back into that defensive shape. So for me, I felt that was a real positive from that game. But I think the risk was if we pumped it into the box and Bradford went and we were too slow to track back into our defensive shape, we could have conceded a goal from it. People will say, you know, at least we tried pumping it into the box and conceded trying. It's the least that Bradford deserved, but to be brutally honest with you, I think playing it short into that corner flag, and to be honest with you, with how bad we were at aerial duels in that game, I do kind of get it. And I'm not usually the biggest fan of keeping it in the corner flag for the last couple of minutes, but at the end of the day, game management. But I could see why you didn't pump it into the box, because if you look at it, the winning of aerial duels was poor for us in that day anyway. So what was the point in pumping it into the box when we weren't going to win any headers? Well, we were barely going to win any headers. To be honest with you, it looked like if we were going to pump it into the box, it looked like Bradford were going to head it away anyway. And it would have stayed 0-0, or they would have gone up and got a goal right at the end to send 20,000 up in uproar and send us home feeling depressed again like it was last season for most of the season. So I think it's a two-way street. It's a very 50-50. It's like a chance. It's like that old Anton Deck game show, Red or Black. It's like, do you choose this option or this option? Either one could win you the jackpot, and either one could lose you everything. So next up for stats. Offensively, Rovers were unsurprisingly the lowest in League Two for shots, 3, and joint third lowest for successful dribbles, 3. This leads me on to my next point. Being better on the ball and the final third. 2 major things we need to do on Saturday. The final third, when we did have chances, George Miller's sitter is 1 chance. Oluwu's header, a 2nd chance. Clayton bombing forward, but was anyone there to support him? No. Final third and the supporting of the final third needs serious work. And being better on the ball plays into that. Treat the ball better on and off the ball. Not just off the ball, but on the ball as well. Defensively, we were fantastic in that game. We held Bradford. We frustrated Mark Hughes. We really rallied him. We peed him off. It was fantastic to see from a fan point of view. But when you look at it, you've also got to be better attacking. On the ball, we were giving it away a load of times. Off the ball, we could have done a little bit better as well. In the final third, there was either no one supporting or there were missing sitters. And, you know, I think possession-wise, on the ball, and attack-wise, we need to be so much better than last Saturday. So much better. Defensively, Rovers blocked more shots 8 times than any other side in the division. We're 2nd for clearances made, 33, and we're joint 4th in interceptions, which was 11. So 11 interceptions, 33 clearances, and 8 blocked shots. And that brings me on to my man of the match, Joe Oluwu. Now, the reason why I did go for O'Shawn Williams is because I think Oluwu still missed a glaring chance. I think it could have gone to any of the back 4. It could have gone to Mitch. I mean, to be fair, I would have given it to Mitchell anyway. But I don't know. I'm still thinking about the man of the match at the moment. I might come back to it when we get to the player ratings, but I don't know. It's between Olowu, Williams, and Mitchell for me for the man of the match. I think the two centre backs did fantastically well to block out and frustrate Bradford. And Jonathan Mitchell, for me, as a goalkeeper, made save after save after save. His kicking needs improvement. He kicked it out for a throw for what, 4 or 5 times at least in that match. But I could see why he was doing it, because he was frustrating Bradford. So as long as he doesn't do it when we need to win the game against Sutton, then I'll be all right with it. But I told him at Armthorpe, I told him in pre-season, his kicking, his distribution is the most he needed work on. Did he improve that in pre-season? Kind of. But for me, I don't know. I personally feel like it still needs improvement. But there we go. Finally then for stats, interestingly, just 20% of Doncaster's attacks came down the left-hand side, with 61% going to the right side. No other team in League Two relied on their right side more than Doncaster Rovers. Look, I think Noel did a good job. I think on the right wing, I think that De Grucci in the end, and obviously Hurst was there on the wing as well. I think both the wingers did okay. I think the fullbacks did great. I would have liked to have seen Maxwell being utilised more on that left-hand side. I think, for me, if we'd have put more attacks onto that left-hand side, I think Maxwell would have really got a good rhythm going and a good game going. I think he had a good game anyway, but I think if they'd allowed more attacks down the left-hand side, I think we would have got a better chance. I think stop relying on that right-hand side so much and give the left side a bit more freedom. So that's how I would look at the situation on that one. In terms of finale talking points about the match, I'll just keep this short and sweet. Like I said, I think we frustrated Bradford. I think we couldn't break them down with our attack, so we had to defend with an attacking mindset. We had to really pressure them, frustrate them, time waste, keep them out. We had a game plan. It worked to perfection, and we got a point out of nothing. So, and to be fair, teams that are going to be up there this season are going to take points, or a point, when they don't really feel like they deserve to. So I take it as a positive. I really take it as a positive. I don't think it's the style of play we'll play this season, but I'll take the positive of a point out of a nothing game. It was an anti-football match for us in terms of the style of play that we played, but I'll take the point. So let's go into player ratings. So we're going to start off with Jonathan Mitchell, and I've made up my mind. I think Mitchell's man of the match. I'm going to give him a 7. There is a few players on 7s in this game, but Mitchell, for me, is man of the match. I'm going to give him a 7. Left back, James Maxwell, going to give him a 7 as well. Like I said, did really well on that left-hand side. I think overall his attack mindset as a full-back going forward was great, and long may that continue. Olowu, 7 again. I think that, again, he is someone that, for me, could be a really, really good centre-back going forward, long-term as well. Roshan Williams, again, 7. Arguably, I know it's the first game of the season, but if you want me to be brutally honest, I think that's arguably one of his best performances in a Rovers shirt. People may question me on that, but I think it's one of his best performances in a Rovers shirt, personally, for the way he defensively kept out Bradford and worked with Olowu. And if I was Anderson getting back into the mix, if I was Adam Long going into this club, if I was any of the centre-backs, Ollie Young is out for 4 months, but when he comes back, I'd be worried if I was those 3 players, even Anderson, because Olowu and Williams right now are proving to be the dream team, if you want me to be brutally honest. And Noel at right back, 7 again. I think that, again, he shielded everything well, defended everything quite well, got forward quite well as well. So, more to continue with Carl. In the midfield, I've given Clayton a 6. I think that Clayton, for me, is... I think it's a decent rating for Clayton. I think he marshalled the midfield quite well. And for me, I think he did all right. Liam Ravenhill, 6. Strong tackle. I know he only played like 6 minutes, but for me, strong tackler, did quite well. And overall, I think he's definitely settling into senior football quite well, isn't he? Whether he plays on Saturday or not, I'm not too sure. But you'll see my lineup prediction later on. It's going to be interesting. Harrison Biggins on the other midfield, 6 again. I think he did quite well. On the wings, Carl Hurst, 6. I think he did quite well on the ball. I think he did well off the ball as well. I think he got forward quite well. Again, just final third just needs a little bit of work, but I think that comes with time and gelling together as a final 3. Lee Tomlin, 5. Tempted to give him a 4 for the red card and how it transpired, but I think 5's a fair shout, because before the 2 yellows and the reds, I thought he was all right. George Miller, 5, I think missing that sitter. He's getting in the right areas at times, but again, just for me, just needs to work on that finishing touch, and I think that'll only come with time. Then finally, the 4 subs, the 4 substitutions in that match: Jack DeGrucci, Josh Andrews, Adam Long, and Tom Anderson. I've given Jack DeGrucci and Josh Andrews 6, and I've given Adam Long and Tom Anderson 5s. Long and Anderson didn't have enough of an impact to warrant a 6. I think they came on and did their jobs to an okay standard, and I think they kept Bradford away. So I think that deserves a decent rating. Won't go above a 6 for me. But I think Andrews and DeGrucci does go around a 6, because DeGrucci, when he came on, did quite well. Came off at half-time, sub for a sub, which confused me even more, but that's football at the end of the day. Josh Andrews came on for the last 45, and for me, he ran round, tried very hard. Yes, he didn't win much aerial duels, but for me, I think that he did all right. Finally then, for ratings, I'm going to give the manager, Gary McSheffrey, a 7. I think he had a game plan, he executed it, and it was a good standard. Do I want to see us play better football? Absolutely. Did we have to play that style of football against Bradford? Yes, because Bradford had quality on the pitch. They were a title contender. And I'm not saying win. Look, I know people are going to say, oh, you think Donny Rovers are a title contender. I don't believe we're a title contender. I think we're in the promotion mix. I think we can get automatics this season if we really push it. So we're coming up against a title favourite. I'm not saying we're going to be title favourites, but we're up against someone who, I mean, look at my predictions. I predicted they finished 2 places above us, so we're around the same kind of mark. But I think McSheffrey came with a game plan. I think we frustrated Bradford. We made them, lose their creativity in the final third. I think, that's the major issue with Bradford. I think their creativity in the final third needs a serious amount of work, and I'll get on to my prediction for their game against Barrow this weekend. But for me personally, I think McSheffrey, like I said, came with a game plan and executed it. So take a point out of that. I think it's a decent. We'll play better football. I think a 7 out of 10 is a decent rating to start off with. And then finally, the fan base, the fans, the Doncaster Rovers fans, the near 2,000 fans that travelled to that record crowd for a League Two fixture in history. By the way, well done to everyone involved for that. Glad to be a part of history and be there. The fans get a 9 for me. Absolutely get a 9 out of 10. The reason why it gets a 9 out of 10, it's not just the Bradford fans, who, by the way, great flag and great atmosphere from the City fans. For us, from where I was sat, in the away end for Bradford, I could see the fans trying to do something, try and get the atmosphere up. It was hard being in different tiers. I'm not going to lie to you. It was hard for all the Rovers fans to be in different tiers, but one of those things, isn't it? You had some Rovers fans at the side as well, don't forget. So we tried our best to make an atmosphere, and I think the fans were definitely looking ahead to the season. So I'm going to give the fans 9 out of 10. People think I'm overreacting about the fans, but for me, I think we did good for the situation we were in against, nearly 20,000 Bradford fans. So for me, I think we did pretty well. Let's move on to the next section of the show. Now, this section is about our upcoming opponents. So let's have a look at the history of Sutton United. Sutton United Football Club was formed on the 5th of March 1898 when a meeting of 2 leading local clubs, Sutton Association and Sutton Guild Rovers, decided they should join forces. The amber and chocolate colours of Sutton Association were retained along with both clubs' grounds, and the United Club's first game was against Norwood and Selhurst Football Club. With 2 grounds available, Sutton fielded 3 teams in the Herald and Surrey Junior Leagues, but the loss of Western Road after a year led to the disbanding of the 3rd team. The senior side's first honour came in the form of the Herald Junior Cup in 1902, the first of 3 successive triumphs in that competition. In 1910, Sutton assumed senior status and joined the Southern Suburban League, and it was during the next decade that the club gained use of their present home in Gander Green Lane. After finishing as Southern Suburban League runners-up in 1920, they were elected to the Athenian League at the end of the following season, and celebrated by twice winning the Surrey Senior Shield. League form was more uncertain, and in 1926 the U's had to seek re-election but were unsuccessful and recovered to win the championship just 2 years later. Over the next decade, Sutton established themselves as a force in the amateur game, twice reaching the FA Amateur Cup semi-finals, although on the first occasion they were expelled from the competition after fielding 2 players who had played Sunday football and were therefore ineligible. During their first spell in the conference, U's hit the headlines with their FA Cup exploits. In the 1987-88 season, they recorded their first win over Football League opposition, beating Aldershot 3-0, and then winning at Peterborough before going out to extra time in the third round replay at Middlesbrough. A year later, they reached the third round, and their 2-1 win over Coventry remained in the last instant of a side from outside of the Football League, beating one from the top flight of English football until Luton's win at Norwich 3 seasons ago. Sutton also seemed established as a conference side, but in 1991, having recorded a record conference away win of 9-0 at Gateshead, they picked up just 1 point from their last 8 games and were relegated for the first time in their history. In their first 2 seasons since rejoining the Ryman League ranks, Sutton failed to mount a serious promotion challenge. But in the 2003-2004 season, with a side containing several graduates from an outstanding youth team that had reached the third round of the FA Youth Cup in 2001, a storming second half to the season saw them finish as runners-up to Canvey Island and gain inclusion in the newly formed Conference South. John Raines stood down as manager in March 2006, and he was then replaced by the manager at the time, Ian Hazel, but the 07-08 season saw the U's, who had previously finished consistently in mid-table, struggle from the start, and by the end of March their relegation had been confirmed, with 2 changes of manager during the season. Although the end of the season showed signs of promise under former player Jimmy Dack, he declined to take the job on a permanent basis, and Paul Doswell, who had achieved great success with Eastleigh in recent seasons, was appointed in the middle of May 2008. After missing out on promotion in the playoffs in the first 2 seasons, as well as overseeing a first appearance for 15 years in the FA Cup first round, he guided the U's to the Isthmian Championship in 2011, and the following season saw them finish 4th in Conference South, losing to Welling United in the playoffs, and also reached the second round of the FA Cup, where their tie at home to Notts County was televised live on ESPN. U's were again in the playoffs in 2014, losing to Dover Athletic after finishing 2nd in the table. And last season went one better. An unbeaten run of 25 league games from the middle of November saw the U's overhaul long-time leaders Ebbsfleet and clinch the Vanarama National League South Championship and gain promotion to the Vanarama National League for the first time since the 1999-2000 season. The 2020-2021 season was perhaps the most unusual in history, not just Sutton United but any club in the world, with the coronavirus pandemic causing a late start to the season and keeping spectators out of stadia for all but 2 weeks. The U's began with an opening day 3-0 win at home to Maidenhead United, and after 3 wins in the U's were beaten at home by Notts County and after a 4-0 defeat to Wrexham, thoughts of the league title had not even surfaced. But the U's kept winning and stayed in touch at the top of the table, and with Matt Gray's team never giving less than 100% effort in every game, a winning run eventually reeled in long-time leaders Torquay United, and dreams grew that a place in the playoffs might even be bettered. Inevitably, fortune swung to and fro, but after Barnet fought back from 2-0 down to gain a draw at Torquay on the penultimate Sunday of the season, the U's know that a win the next day at home to Hartlepool United would clinch the title. In front of the BT Sport cameras and with just over 1,000 fans allowed back into the stadium, the team rose to the occasion, claiming the National League title and promotion to the Football League for the first time. Off the pitch, the U's have also made great strides in recent years with their work in the local community, seeing them win Sutton Business of the Year award back in 2013. Sutton United are a clear example of great strides forward from non-league beginnings. So, Sutton United just this season gone, just finished outside the playoff places to get into Sky Bet League One, which again proves my point of a great club from non-league beginnings moving fantastic strides. Now let's preview what will happen between us and Sutton with Mike from Sutton United Talk Time On podcast. So we have come to one of our interview sections on the Matchday Launch Show. I'm here with Mike from Sutton Talk Time On podcast. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. You?
I'm very good, thank you. It's great to have you on the show. Obviously, it's our first ever league fixture against each other in the Football League. I mean, first of all, how's it feel to come up against a brand new team?
Oh yeah, we have played each other in the what was the conference back in the day, sort of 20 odd years ago. My memory is shocking, so I don't remember it at all. But I was told about it. But we haven't played each other very often, and it's definitely a new stadium for a lot of people to tick off anyway. But yeah, it's all a bit surreal for little old Sutton to be in the Football League. We were just saying at the weekend that this season we kind of were allowed to believe it's real, because last year it was still a bit, we're not sure what's going on, but this year it's we really are here. We're allowed to enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a surreal moment for Sutton fans. I mean, obviously you played your first game this past weekend, just gone. I mean, how was that game for you guys?
Yeah, it was a bit of a mixed bag. Obviously, early season, we got caught out a little bit from their goal. One of our defenders just went off injured, got replaced. They scored straight away. The manager was very quick to say it wasn't to do with the change. It was the Newport County fellow who took the throw on. All the way through pre-season, when we've watched them, they weren't taking long throw-ons with him at all. And then it came to the first league match, and we weren't set up for a long throw-on, and he's launched it. So, cheers for that, guys. But yeah, so 1-1, it's probably about fair. We could have nicked it a couple of times. Newport County fans would probably say the exact opposite to me. They'll say it's 1-1 was about fair. We could have nicked it. But yeah, we're both up and running, got a point on the board, and you'll probably hear this mantra from us all the way through the season for the first part. Once we get to the 50 points, we'll then start talking about everything else. But yeah, it's good to be up and running.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's great for us to go be up and running as well. We're a hard-earned point against Bradford City as well. So just about Sutton in general, then obviously this is your second season in League Two, your second season in the Football League. Looking back on that promotion about 2 seasons ago now, does it still feel? It still feels unreal, doesn't it, about being in the Football League from where Sutton United was, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're a non-league team. We're a non-league club who happen to be playing in the Football League. It felt even less real because that was the COVID season, and we were watching on our screens. All of us are used to watching Sutton live. We go down to the ground, so watching it on screens just felt surreal anyway. And then the team was doing so well and winning all these games and basically won the title. We were just like, is this real? This isn't right. We did get luckily in for the last home game of the season, where we secured the title, which was again a very strange experience for us. But yeah, it's clubs like yourself, we would have bit happy with a few years ago in an FA Cup draw, and now we're playing yourselves, Bradford, as in the same league. It's all a bit strange for us, but we're enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking ahead, obviously, to the game this weekend, then, who would you say are the star players that we need to be looking out for in terms of people we need to be paying close attention to keep a close eye on them and try and keep them, away from the danger zones?
I'm not saying this because I think your management team will be listening for some scouting tips, but we don't. It's a huge team effort from our side. Last year, I can't remember exactly where, but we're within the top scorers of the division, and we finished 8th, just outside the playoff. We didn't have any player with more than into double figures on goals. So the goals were spread out around the team, where one player may have had an off day, others were picking up the slack. So it is a really difficult question to answer, because at any point, any one of the players can make me look stupid by completely playing rubbish, and then someone else picking it up. But they're a strong unit. They're what everyone wants from their team. They don't give up, and they fight for each other. But if I have to pick names out, we're waiting to see how Will Randall is, because he had to go off just in the last couple of minutes of the first half with a dead leg. So we're waiting to see how he is. He's been really good in pre-season. Enzio on the other wing, both hot and cold, but if he's a hot day, you're in big trouble. And then there's Omar up front, who scored our opening day goal for the last 3 years, and he just battles, and he's just brilliant. But again, I could go through the whole team and say, look out for this one, look out for this one. And that's not a cop out. That's a genuine. They're all really, really strong. But it's the unit that's the strongest.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Obviously, it's great to see Sutton being a whole team, and it's nice to see it's not just one or two or a few standout players. It's nice to see it's a whole team of standout players. Looking ahead then with Doncaster Rovers, then, who would you say maybe on paper could be the players that you would want to watch out for from our side?
Well, not Lee Tomlin.
Yeah, he's not playing in that game. He doesn't deserve to play in that game after that.
That was just bizarre. To be honest, I don't know. It's too early in the season for anything like this. I heard your predictions the other day, and again, I was like, that's very brave doing predictions on the sort of opening day, especially when you get things like Harrogate 3, Swindon 0, Barrow smashing Stockport. So, yeah, honestly, don't know. I'm just sort of happy to see how the season progresses. I concentrate more on our team and our strengths than worrying too much about opposition. But yeah, I did very much enjoy watching that sending off. That was quite bizarre.
Yeah, always in the press for the wrong reasons. Finally, then, just to sort of go out there with a bold prediction at the start, because obviously we're filming this at the start of the week, so it'll be a bit of a bold prediction. We'll know more once we get to around Friday, Saturday morning, as to a bit more about what the teams may be and, what kind of prediction we're looking for. But at the start of this week, what would you say scoreline-wise? At the moment, I'm going for a 2-0 win for us, but I don't know what your prediction will be.
Well, I heard your predictions, your fans, and the only one I liked was Tyler, who went for a 2-2. Everyone else, I think, was 3-0. But I think it's probably going to be a draw, or we're going to have one of our famous just eke it out, wind you all up victories, or we steal it 1-0 in the last minute or two, and just send you all home fuming. Which is lovely, I love that. Play a bit like Chloe Kelly in that last 10 minutes. But yeah, I think we hopefully get a draw, or even eke it out and steal a win.
That's fair enough. I mean, if we played the way we played against Bradford, I'm not saying it was on a hard-earned point, but if we played the way we played against Bradford for 90 minutes against you guys, no disrespect, but I think I'd be worried about the style of play we're going to play this season, because Bradford fans are coming out saying, one of the most anti-football teams they've ever played at Valley Parade. If we're going to play that every game this season, I'm going to start panicking. But Mike, thank you very, very much for coming on the show. Much appreciated.
You're more than welcome. Good luck, apart from the 180 minutes of the season, obviously.
Thank you very much. Let's go on to the next section of the Matchday Launch Show. So let's get into our predictions for Sky Bet League 2 this weekend. It's Matchday 2. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. Obviously, some fantastic fixtures going on during this particular weekend. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens on the day. So let's just get straight into this, shall we? So we're going to kick off with Barrow and Bradford. Obviously, Bradford were our opponents on the first week, 0-0 draw. Barrow, on the other hand, with a shock 3-2 victory away at Stockport United. And Barrow look a decent outfit, I think, from the first game even. I think that, like I said, if Bradford don't improve their final third, they're going to struggle. I'm betting Barrow on this one. I'm going to go with a scoreline of Barrow 1, Bradford City 0. And I know Bradford fans are going to hate me for that, but I just think with Barrow, I just think they're going to snatch it. Next up, Carlisle United travel to Colchester United. Now, Carlisle beat Crawley 1-0 on their opening game at home. They're travelling to Colchester, who lost 3-2 to promotion-chasing Northampton in their first game. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Like I said, I think Colchester could be in trouble this season. Carlisle could finish around that mid-table spot. I think Paul Simpson could do a better job this season. And I think this, you know what? I think the phone book would say Carlisle, but for me, I think there could be a surprise in store. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between the two clubs. Next up, Crawley versus Leyton Orient. Now, Crawley, of course, lost to Carlisle 1-0, while Leyton Orient opened the season with a 2-0 win over promoted National League side Grimsby Town. Now, obviously, Richie Wellens wants to try and get 2 wins in 2 from his start in his first full season as the Orient manager. Now, for me, I think that could continue, but Crawley will want to be fired up after that 1-0 defeat away at Carlisle United. So I'm going for a 2-0 Leyton Orient win away at Crawley. I think Crawley will lose again, and I think Orient will make it 2 wins in 2 games. Next up, Crewe Alexandra hosting Harrogate Town. Crewe winning 2-1 away at Rochdale in their opening game, while Harrogate Town beating Swindon 3-0 in arguably one of the surprises of the week in League Two. Now, can Harrogate do it again? I believe there's a chance they could do, even though Crewe won their game away at Rochdale. I think Harrogate could still surprise the odds again. So I'm personally going to go with a scoreline of Crewe Alexandra 1, Harrogate 2. I think there's a real chance here. Next up, Gillingham against Rochdale. Gillingham and Rochdale, 2 losers on the opening day, clashing in Gillingham. Now, Gillingham losing 2-0 away to AFC Wimbledon on the opening day, with Rochdale losing 2-1 to Crewe Alexandra. Now, again, I think this is going to be an interesting one. Can Neil Harris get off on the right foot with Gillingham? And I think there's a chance they could do. So I'm going to go with a scoreline of Gillingham 2, Rochdale 0. Next up, Grimsby host Northampton in their first game back in the Football League. Now, Grimsby, like I said, lost 2-0 to Leyton Orient. Northampton won 3-2 in their game against Colchester. I think Grimsby could pull a shock in front of the fans, you know. If I was Northampton, I'd be worried about this one. I'm going to go for Grimsby Town 1, Northampton 0. I think it's a bold prediction, this one. This is one of my bolder predictions, but I think there's a chance. Next up, Hartlepool hosting AFC Wimbledon. Wimbledon winning their game 2-0 against Gillingham, while Hartlepool, unfortunately, for Hartlepool Town, they went away to Walsall and got absolutely battered 4-0. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens on that front. But I have confidence that Wimbledon can get the win. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win again for Wimbledon, this time away from home. Next up, Mansfield hosting Tranmere, 2 sides that could be amongst that top 10 this season. Now, Mansfield lost 2-0 to Salford, and again, one of the most shocking fixtures in the league the past week. Now, Tranmere, on the other hand, Tranmere Rovers lost 2-1 to Stevenage at home in their opening game. So again, we've got a shocking loser and someone who just lost to Stevenage. So we've got 2 teams wanting to try and get on the front foot in Gameweek 2. So for me, I think with the home crowd, I think Mansfield are just going to do it. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for Mansfield over Tranmere, and it's going to be catch-up for Mickey Mellon on Gameweek 3. Next up, Newport County against Walsall. Now, Newport County got a 1-1 draw away at our opponent, Sutton United. Now, Walsall, of course, battered Hartlepool 4-0. Walsall look a decent threat this season. I think they'll do it again. I'm going to go for Newport County 0, Walsall 3, and that's nothing against Newport. I just think Walsall will be too strong for the Welshmen. Next up, Stevenage and Stockport. Stockport with a shocking loss back in the Football League, 3-2 hosting Barrow. Stevenage with the win at Tranmere. Again, I think Stockport are going to need some revenge, and I think that day will be in that day on Saturday. I'm going to go with Stockport winning 2-1 away from home. And finally, Swindon against Salford. Salford, one of the most shocking wins in the league the past weekend, and Swindon with the most shocking loss of the past weekend, or one of the most shocking losses, Hartlepool. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw on this one. I think Salford will still be fired up, but I think Swindon will have a point to prove this time. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. Now, there's one more game we haven't predicted, and you know what that game is. It's Doncaster Rovers against Sutton United. So first of all, let's go through my lineup prediction before the score prediction to end this week's episode of the Matchday Launch Show. So first up, in goal, I've gone with Jonathan Mitchell. No change there. I think that's a pretty bold not a pretty bold selection. I think it's a pretty safe selection. He is the number 1. He was man of the match in that Bradford game. He earns his place. Back 4, I've gone with Maxwell, Williams, Olawu and Noyle. I think, again, there's no reason to change that. I'm happy with it. I'm extremely happy with it. And simple as that, really. In the midfield 3, I've gone with Clayton, Biggins and Ravenhill. I've decided to start Ravenhill in this particular game because I believe he will get his chance again. And you'll see where I'm putting Rowe. So, spoiler alert, Rowe is starting in my prediction. But I've gone with Ravenhill because I think he provides a great, young, strong tackler in that midfield 3. There'll be Bradford fans replying to this show now saying, oh, he should be fined for that and never play again or whatever. But for me, I feel Ravenhill's a strong tackler, he's a strong young midfielder, and I think with more game time he'll grow and grow and grow in this senior division. So I'm going to give Ravenhill another chance. I'm going to start him again in that midfield three. And then finally in the attacking three, I've gone with Tommy Rowe on the left, Kyle Hurst on the right, and George Miller up front. Hopefully with Tommy Rowe on the wings, I think that gives Miller and Hurst a bit more experience to work with in the front three and gives them a bit more attacking edge. Now let's finalise the show with my scoreline prediction. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. Now we come to the final part of this week's Matchday Launch Show with my scoreline prediction. Now, again, I think it's been a very interesting game. Sutton are going to rebound off that 1-1 draw. We need to play much better football, but we need to get our first win on the board. And it'd be great to win at home as well, because at home last season it was absolute torture. We barely won a game at home. So for me, I think we need to start winning at home. I've got the confidence we'll play better football, and I think we're going to do it. So my prediction for this game is Doncaster Rovers 2, Sutton United 0. I think we'll keep a clean sheet again with our game management that we've improved on over the pre-season and over the summer. And I think we'll get a couple of good goals. So if you want me to predict goal scorers, I predict maybe Rowe and Ravenhill. Ravenhill for the laugh, because Bradford fans will hate it. But Tommy Rowe coming back and getting a goal would be fantastic. If you want to get, if you wanted my bonus options for goal takers, I think maybe Oluwu could head one in from a set piece, and don't repeat the missed chance from Bradford. I think Hurst could cut inside with a goal. I think Noyle or Maxwell could maybe bomb forward from the edge of the box from a set piece, or bomb forward and work something with the 1-2 movement that we saw in pre-season, or most of pre-season. But I'm going to go with a 2-0 win. So that is the end of this week's episode of the EFL Matchday Launch Show. Don't forget, we do have one coming on Monday for the Carabao Cup, so stay tuned for that one. Where we've got Jake Tongue, Lincoln City supporter, Lincoln City podcaster, coming on the show to discuss the Lincoln City Carabao Cup match. We're going to preview all the Carabao Cup matches as well, so stay tuned for that one. We do have some fantastic interviews coming this season on the Matchday Launch Show. We've got a coach at a top club in Europe, an analyst from a top club in Europe, a possible scout from a top English club. Trust me, we've got some brilliant connections that are interested in taking part in the show this season for its debut year. It's all going down. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys at the match. Don't forget how we work now with the review and stuff like that. The Sutton United game review will be on Monday's Matchday Launch Show, when we talk about the Sutton United game and look forward to the Carabao Cup against Lincoln. But for now, guys, I'm Aaron Challoner, aka the CHALL, your YouTube sporting presenter. Keep living the Rovers life, keep living the sporting life, and I'll see you all for the next Matchday Launch Show. That is full time.